Welcome to Rebel Chaser. My name is Gail, and I have a clip for you from Judge Tammy Long Hayward in Georgia. She is hearing an eviction case. And what happened is the owner of this home passed away. And when he did, the home went to his son. And the people that were renting just decided they weren't going to pay rent anymore. And they haven't paid rent in 3 years. So they were suing to evict them and to get $24,500 in back rent.
Edward Bell versus Grant and all other occupants. This is a dispossessory.
Good morning, Your Honor. Grace Barksdale, ready for the plaintiff.
All right. Good morning, Ms. Barksdale. Is there anyone here on behalf of Grant, Lyman Grant?
Yes. Good morning.
All right, Miss Danielle Grant, can you show me your video? Okay, there you are.
Yes, I'm sorry. Good morning.
All right, so the way this is going to work, Miss Grant, is because Miss Barksdale is here on behalf of the petitioner. We're going to go ahead and hear what the petition is, and then you'll have the opportunity to respond. Okay, I take it that you are one of the all other occupants. Is Lyman Grant going to be present?
Unfortunately, he wasn't able to make it. He's at his job right now.
Okay. All right. So, Ms. Barksdale, if you'll go ahead and tell me what's the reason for this dispossessory and any amounts related thereto.
Your Honor, this is a transfer from the Magistrate Court of Clayton County. This dispossessor was initially filed in Clayton County Magistrate Court for possession of the property and all past due rents. This is an estate case, Judge, where the owner of the property passed away in May of 2021. Since May of 2021, my client, who is the administrator, has not collected any rent on this property. The monthly rent on this property is $700 per month, and we are seeking to collect rent from June of 2021 through April 30th, 2024, and that total amount of rent is $24,500. And I have my clients preparing to testify in this case, Judge.
All right. You could, where's your client?
Turn your cameras on, Bell.
Mr. Bell? Okay. Raise your right hand for me. You solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true.
I do. All
right, Mr. Bell, you can put your hand down. Will Mr. Wayne Bell be also testifying, Ms. Barksdale?
He will, Judge. Mr. Bell, right. Dwayne, turn your mic on, please.
All right, Mr. Dwayne Bell, I'm going to swear you in right now. That way, Ms. Barksdale can move from witness to witness, okay? Do you solemnly swear or affirm any testimony you give in this matter will be true? Can you hear me? Okay. All right, you can put your hand down.
Mr. Bell, please introduce yourself to the court.
I'm sorry.
What is your full name?
Edward Ralph Bell Jr.
And Mr. Bell, you brought this dispossessory on behalf of the estate of Eddie Bell Sr., who is your deceased father, and Eddie Bell Jr. as administrator of this estate?
Yes, ma'am.
And what is the date of your father's death?
May 29th. I'm sorry.
Is that May 29th, 2021?
May 29th, 2021.
And Judge, I've uploaded the death certificate and orders in this file, so Ms. Grant should have those documents. Did you receive them?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. And at the time of your father's death, Mr. Bell, did he own the property known as City View Drive, Forest Park, Georgia?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that address located in Clayton County?
Yes, ma'am.
And to your knowledge, did your father lease this property to Lyman Grant and Danielle Grant?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you know the date that the lease was signed by the Grant? What year at least?
Around 2017.
2017. And as far as you know, the Grants have been in this property since 2017?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you have any personal knowledge of the monthly rent on this property?
Around the first of the month, $700.
$700 for monthly rent and it's due on the 1st?
Yes, ma'am.
And since your father passed in 2021 of May, have you all received any money on this property from the grants?
No, ma'am.
Did you all demand that they pay or vacate?
There was a date that we made them aware to pay. Yes, ma'am.
And did they pay?
No, ma'am.
Did they vacate?
No, ma'am.
And then you caused this dispossession to be filed against them for non-payment of rent?
Yes, ma'am.
And at the time of filing this dispossession, you filed it on June 8th of 2023?
Yes, ma'am.
And you had filed it for the entire year of June 2022, and now you're wanting 23 and up through 24 of April 30th?
Yes, ma'am.
And with that rent being $700 per month, are you asking the court for $24,000?
Yes, ma'am.
$24,500 for past due rent through April 30th?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're asking the court for a writ of possession on April 30th at 11:59 p.m.?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, now you've gotten the answer from the grants, correct?
I'm sorry.
You received an answer from the grants, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And the grants are alleging some type of repairs to this property, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you know if this property has been dilapidated as a result of the grant's failure to maintain it?
Yes, ma'am. It has been dilapidated.
And how do you know that?
We were informed by code enforcement that it needed to be brought up to par.
Did you all go to the property to bring it up to par?
Yes, ma'am.
And what happened?
The day we came to get everything together, we were met by opposition by Miss Lyman Grant and Danielle Grant and Mr. Lyman Grant. A weapon was brandished that day. And
Were you all able to bring it up to code?
No, ma'am.
Now, when you say a weapon was branded that day, was it pointed at anybody or was it just shown?
It was shown.
Okay. And so when you saw the weapon, what, if anything, that you all do?
Stopped what we were doing and called the police.
Did the police come to the property?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And did you all continue to try to keep the property in repair, or what happened, if anything, after the police got there?
No, ma'am. That was the last attempt, first and only attempt to try to clean the area. After that, it's been, no, we have not been to that property after of that date that I can recall.
And did you all sign a new lease with the grant since your father's death?
No, ma'am.
So your dad died in 2021 and there hasn't been a new lease signed since he died?
That's correct.
And you're asking the court today for possession of your property on April the 30th, 2024?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're also asking the court for a money judgment of $24,500?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, that is my case for now, and I'll use Dwayne if I have to as a rebuttal witness.
All right. Ms. Grant, you have heard the presentation of the plaintiff's case in this matter. Did you wish to present on behalf of yourself in this case?
Yeah, I can. I can present facts. I have some records of my own with dates and information that's more accurate.
Okay, when was the last time that you made a payment in this case?
We paid to Edward Bell Sr. Via his P.O. Box, June 2021. We were unaware that he had passed until we had a ring. We were currently out of town and we had a ring notification of some people that had parked and started walking around the property. And then per that ring communication, my husband and Mr. Bell Jr. spoke that his father had passed, unfortunately, and that they were going to take care of the property or whatever the case may be. And my husband gave his phone number for contact, and then we didn't hear from Mr. Bell until October of later that year, and that's when code enforcement, again, we didn't hear from Mr. Bell. Code enforcement came to the property and told us we needed to remove a pool and some tree limbs and things that were on the property. The tree in our front yard had fallen on our house twice within June to October. And we had no way to contact Mr. Bell Jr. on that aspect, but we were made aware later on that he knew that the tree had fallen because they had been coming by the property to check on it. But code enforcement came and told us we needed to remove stumps and whatnot. So we did that ourselves to make sure that it wasn't damaging the roof and things like that. And then we got an eviction notice in October of 2022 that they dismissed. We then had the altercation that Mr. Bell is talking about because in our lease, which after our realtor passed away, per Edward Bell, it was a month-to-month lease with payments. So we didn't sign a new one with him, and then he passed away. But we were doing the month-to-month payments for him.
Okay,
After
so
that,
hold on for me. When you said that you were informed of his demise in June of 2021, did you continue to send payments to the post office box?
we did not. So they told
Did you
him
send
on the ring.
payments anywhere?
We kept the payments until we knew who to give them to because we were addressing them to Edward Bell Sr. and he didn't give us a way to pay aside from the P.O. box that Senior had for us to send our rent to. Edward Bell
Okay.
Jr. only took my husband's phone number on the Ring camera, and then we didn't hear from him or have a way to contact him until October when code enforcement came.
So when you say on the Ring camera, did your husband come out and speak with Mr. Bell Jr. and he just left him standing on the porch and spoke through the Ring camera?
We were currently driving to Missouri. That's where our family is from. We had a funeral that we had to attend at that time too. So we were driving on the highway from Georgia to Missouri when they showed up on the property, and that's when we communicated through the Ring camera.
Okay, and did your husband get Mr. Bell's number?
He didn't give his phone number. We gave him our phone number.
Okay, did you ask in any way what the new arrangement would be for payment?
He said that he would contact us and we'd figure it out, and we didn't have a contact for him.
And so for what you're saying is from June 21st to this month, they've never told you how to pay the rent?
So they've asked for cash payments, but we wanted a record of what we were paying and who we were paying it to. And when he showed up with the police and did a tour of the home after the altercation that he's talking about. And at that time, my husband again asked where we needed to send payment to or who we needed to pay, and also offered up to do rental assistance and gave the information for that. And when my husband logged on to do the rental assistance or to pay again, Mr. Bell hadn't created an account with the email he gave us. So there was no way to do that either.
So y'all had been paying before, correct?
We had been paying fine. We just wanted to make sure we still had a record of who our payments were going to.
That's why you needed rental assistance?
No, that was a conversation that my husband and him had at the property. He brought up rental assistance. So my husband said, okay, we could file that and do it that way or whatever you wanted to do. And then when my husband logged on to do that, it wasn't done on the other end. And then they just keep filing evictions. So we've been trying to get out of the property, but it shows that there's evictions filed and court hearings, so nobody's renting. We're not currently at the property now. The mortgage company came and said that it's been taken over by the city. So we just decided to leave the property as what it was.
Ms. Barksdale, did you have any questions for Ms. Bell?
Yeah,
Ms. Grant.
I would not prolong this. The only question that I would ask Ms. Grant is that the normal course of paying the rent was through the P.O. box, correct?
Through the P.O. box, we would address it to Edward Bell Sr. They said that they didn't have access to the P.O. box, and then we didn't have any information to pay them directly, and I did not feel comfortable paying them cash.
Okay, so there is your testimony that since Mr. Bell died that you've not paid any rent, correct?
Not to Bell Jr., no.
Okay.
To anybody?
We had kept the payments to ourselves, waiting to be able to deposit them.
You didn't pay, period.
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Ms. Barksdale, did you have another witness?
Yeah, I have nothing further, Judge.
Okay. All right. And you said that y'all have left the property?
Yeah, we're no longer at the property.
When did you leave?
We left in March.
of this year?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you let anybody know that you had left the property?
No, we were waiting for the court date so that we could speak with Edward.
Okay. Are all of your things out of the property?
There's a few like there's a dresser in there and I believe a table, but everything else has been removed from the property.
All right. So I haven't heard.
Do they want the property that's in the unit? Or is it being
No, ma'am.
abandoned?
No, ma'am.
It's abandoned.
It can be
Okay.
abandoned. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right. So the court haven't heard nothing that prevents the writ of possession from taking place and the judgment. The court is going to grant an instant writ of possession because you said that you have quit the property and as such you have no interest in the property at this time. So the court will grant the writ of possession instanter and judgment for $24,500 against Miss Danielle Grant. And writ of possession as to all parties named as defendants.
Would you like me to send you an order, Judge?
Yes, ma'am. If you don't already have one on file, go ahead and send that to Ms. Heath Fortson. Ms. Grant, just as an aside, I'm not sure if you still live in Georgia, but the rule in Georgia is that if you're in possession of the property, you owe rent. Even if there are repairs and things that need to be made, you can let the landlords know that repairs need to be made, and if they don't make them in a timely manner, then you can make those repairs yourself, keep a record of that, and keep a record of the amounts paid, and those can be used as an offset against the rent. But as long as you are in possession of the property, you have to pay. And what concerns me is also the mention of rental assistance. If you have been paying fine up to that point, and you just informed me that your husband is at work now, then the use of a rental assistance program, if you did not currently need rental assistance, could have been seen as fraud. So I'm not sure why you would have needed a rental assistance program if you had been paying $700 a month, which is way below market rent up until that point. So I just wanted to make that point to you. Rental assistance is not for everyone. It is for people who are in need of the program. All right. So, ma'am, you'll receive a copy of the judgment and the writ of possession. I'm
sorry, Your Honor, may I ask that the court dismiss the counterclaim with prejudice because she has presented no evidence of damages? She has a $20,000 counterclaim.
Yes, ma'am. The counterclaim will be dismissed. I've heard nothing to suggest that a counterclaim is appropriate or that damages should flow in the other direction at this time.
Thank you, Judge.
All right. All right, Miss.
So,
yes, ma'am. Ms. Grant?
I had questions because the counterclaim was due to HVAC issues, plumbing issues, and the tree falling on the home twice that we had to remove, that they weren't.
Did y'all pay $20,000 to get those things done?
Yes. We've been at the property for 7 years.
I got that, ma'am. But did you have receipts? Did you let the landlord know ahead of time?
We did let him know, and that's when we wouldn't hear from him.
Okay, do you have something that shows that?
I can get the receipts. They're digital now because we've moved and stuff. So I have copies of them I can send in.
Okay, we're not doing a send in. Let's do it now. So you said that you are owed $20,000 for repairs that you made to the property. Those would work as an offset against the $24,500 if you can prove them. All right. So the first thing that happened, what was that?
When the tree fell against the roof in the front porch.
Okay, is this when they tried to come out with code enforcement?
No, this is between the time that they first notified us that he had passed and then code enforcement came in October. This was in June, about a week after they told us that he had passed.
So in June, a tree fell. Okay, what happened at that point?
We had to contact someone.
2021?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and then what happened?
We had to contact someone to come cut that down off the roof and off the front and dispose of that wood. And then in July that same year, the other side of the tree fell against the power line and where the mailbox is on the property.
Okay, so you gave notice to Mr. Bell Jr. that there was a tree on the property that needed to be taken care of?
We didn't have his contact at that time, but he let us know that they had been circling the property. They told us that they saw the tree, and that's when they called code enforcement.
Okay, did you send a notice to the PO box?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did you have any other way to contact them regarding issues with the property?
Not until after the first eviction filing, when they showed up and gave the phone number to my husband.
Okay, so how much was that for that? Okay, and you said the other side of the tree fell? Y'all didn't, the
Yeah,
guy
it
didn't
split.
come out and get the whole tree at that time?
No, they didn't stump it down.
So he just removed the part that had fallen and he left the rest of the damaged tree?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, how much did you pay for that?
The first was $5,000.
Do you have a receipt?
All of my stuff, unfortunately, is in Georgia. I had to come back to Missouri to help with my grandmother.
You said it was digital. You don't have copies of it, pictures of it, anything?
I'd have to search through my phone files.
Okay,
I'm
ma'am.
sorry. It's been a
This
long.
is your court date. This is the date you're supposed to be ready for court.
Yes, ma'am. Unfortunately, I had to leave in December due to domestic violence. So all of my stuff, I have a new phone. I don't have copies of that stuff on my phone. So I'm doing this digitally in Missouri to try to make sure that everything is taken care of.
Okay, you said Mr. Grant was at work. Is he not participating in this process at all?
He just started a new job, so he wasn't able to have this time. So I was just coming to represent.
Okay. Because I want to be clear that your presence here, you're named as one of the all others, but the fact that you've appeared and you kind of put yourself into this process means that you're the one that the judgment will be against. You understand that?
Okay.
Now, but Mr. Bell, he's the one who filed the answer, or did you file the answer?
Well, the first answer from June, we both filed one
Okay,
back.
so both your names are on that.
Yeah, this one from February, I don't know what he answered back. I wasn't at the property.
Okay, but you think he filed the answer, the second one?
Well, this is the third one. The one that you're with us now, this is the third one. So the first one
Okay.
we both filed, and the second one we both filed, and this third one, I don't know what he's filed.
Okay. Ms. Heath Fortson, can you look at that for me? All right, so you said you paid $5,000 for the tree, and then it fell again?
And then it fell, the other side of it fell.
Okay, how much was that?
That was only
So
2,000, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I'm just trying to figure out how y'all paid $5,000 for one tree, and he didn't even get the whole tree.
That's the quote that they gave us. The other people weren't going to come take the tree off. They said it wasn't within their, I guess, insurance purposes with it being on the home and things like that.
Okay, and then the second time someone came out, was it the same company?
No, we had to buy the tools to cut it down ourselves. We had to
What
buy a
tools
saw.
did you buy?
We had to buy a chainsaw and a pole saw to get the rest of it off.
Okay, now I own a chainsaw and a pole saw, and that's not $2,000 worth of saw. So how did you get the $2,000?
That's what my husband paid for the stuff that he got and
Where-
help to try to get the tree down.
Where did he go get it?
Just Home Depot, I guess. I'm not sure He just bought the 2 saws, and then he had a guy from down the street help us get it.
So you bought the saws. Like I said, my household owns a chainsaw and a pole saw. I don't think we paid $2,000 for them brand new. So how much did the guy from down the street charge you for labor?
I think he gave him a couple $100.
All right, because this is the concern that I have. Y'all, this is $7,000 that y'all have spent getting one tree off your property, but you didn't pay rent that you have been paying just fine up until that point. It's starting to sound not quite right.
I understand. We would have continued to pay it, but they wanted cash, and they didn't tell us where to pay.
They
Our
wanted
June
you to
check,
send it by Cash App, or they wanted to come by and pick up an envelope of cash every time?
he just told my husband that he could pay him cash. I wasn't going to
Okay,
send cash in the mail, and he didn't give us an address to send anything.
did y'all ask for, okay, if we give you cash, you giving us a receipt?
Yes, that was in the conversation.
Okay, but that never went forward.
No.
Okay. All right. So what happened next that makes up this $20,000?
Our HVAC, the water heater is not connected to code with how the gas line is supposed to be. So we've had HVAC, a guy named Max has come out to work on that a couple of times. Then after the gas company came out and locked it because they said it was not to standard or code or whatever the term may be, they locked it. So we had to put in AC units and find a way to get heating in the house ourselves.
Okay, HVAC and water heaters are separate. So a water heater is a separate unit that's not connected to HVAC. It may be gas powered, but it's not connected to HVAC. So you just said that your water heater had an issue and then y'all had to put in the heating system. So separate those for me and tell me what happened.
So we didn't put in a heating system within the property. We've used heaters and air conditioning units in the home to heat and cool the property. They locked the gas, whatever it's called, to the water heater because they said it wasn't to code, and the gas is what heats the property as well.
Okay. So what prompted somebody to come out from the gas company?
They said that they had to do their yearly inspection, and I don't know what the difference was between when Max would come out and work on it and fix it and the actual gas company, but the gas company said it was not, they couldn't continue to have it operate that way. And
Okay,
he
so
put an actual lock on it.
the gas company comes out and does a yearly inspection?
It was we had Gas South first, and then the Georgia, I believe Georgia Power was the other one.
And they come out, like the gas truck with the logo and everything comes out and does a yearly inspection? Because my experience, and if I'm wrong, somebody's gonna tell me, is that unless you smell gas or you have some other issue, you call them, but they don't, like I've never had them just come out to inspect our gas appliances.
Yeah, Max. So there was a guy that the realtor was using named Max. And when she passed away, she sent the information to us to use him. He came out about 2 or 3 times. And then after the last time that he came out, he said, when he found out that Mr. Bell had died, he said, well, I'm not coming out anymore if they're not going to pay me. So that's when we called the actual gas company to come check it.
All right. And when the gas company came out, they said they found a problem with the water heater.
Yeah, whatever's connected through that gas line, they turned that off. They locked that.
Okay. So that meant you didn't have hot water?
Not until we were able to get it like switched over.
When was that?
It was about like two months. It wasn't a long time for the water.
And when you say switched over, what does that mean?
We were able to get it like reconnected to just the water heater, not the heating coils of it for the actual like heat and air in the house.
Okay, so you separated it. So you now had water heater run by gas power only, and then you had to do something separate for heating and air conditioning.
Yeah. We weren't able to run it through the same.
How much did it cost you to get the water heater back on?
That was about $1,200.
Who did that work?
I have to get the receipt, has his name on it.
Okay, did it
It's through my
require you to
husband
buy
still.
a new water heater, or were you able to use the same water heater?
They used the same. They had to like put a different faucet
Valve?
thing. Yeah.
Okay, and so you saying, did you call a company, or like an individual came out and did that work?
It was an individual.
Is it somebody that you know who like does this work regularly, or is just somebody in the neighborhood who said they could do it?
We had just Googled some people that work on those kind of systems.
All right, and when was that you had this done?
That was my daughter was born. It was September to October of 2021.
Okay, did you let anyone know that you were having trouble with the water heater for the landlord?
That was within that time frame that we didn't have contact with him.
Okay. All right. And then you said the HVAC system. So now the HVAC system has come off of gas power. How are you dealing with HVAC?
We were using space heaters for the rooms when we were in them, and then the air conditioning, we had air conditioning unit in the back bedroom.
And how long did that go on?
That was until October, until current.
Okay, so you haven't had the HVAC fixed?
No.
Okay. All right. And was there anything else? So that brings me to 8,200. Where's the rest of the 20,000?
I think initially my husband was just filing for like emotional distress and all that stuff. It doesn't have to be at the 20,000.
No, ma'am. We don't give emotional distress on a dispossessory. You have to have you have to have actually had to make repairs and paid to make those repairs, or done the work yourself, or some combination of thereof. And you got to be able to document what you paid and what you did. And that's after giving notice to the landlord. Ms. Barksdale, did you have any other questions for Ms. Grant?
I do, Judge. I want to know, Ms. Grant, you said you purchased heaters to get warm by?
Yes, ma'am.
Where are those heaters now?
They're in a storage unit.
At your storage unit?
Yes, ma'am.
So you're taking those heaters with you, right?
That my husband had put them there. We can bring them back to the property if need be.
No, you've already taken them away, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said you had an AC unit in the window. Where's that unit?
I'm not sure if it's still in the window or at storage. I can ask him.
Okay. And so you, the Bells came by your property in late May after their father died, right?
They came June 3rd.
Okay, so he died on May 5th. So they came about 3 weeks after he passed, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And they wanted to know if there was anything going on with the property, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you told them they had to prove to you who they were, right?
We asked, they were just roaming the property that we saw on camera. And that was the only interaction we had with them.
But you did tell them you didn't believe they were who they said they were.
We didn't know who they were until October is when I asked if I could have proof.
Okay. And so when they sent you the order showing that they were the administrators of the estate, did you give them any notice of any repairs on that property?
I'm not sure what notice they showed you or told you, but we never received a notice, and we never received the death or any of that information.
How did they prove to you that they were the Bell's sons?
I didn't hear the first part of what you said.
How did they prove to you that they were who they said they were?
They didn't. The first proof I had was the eviction notice that had his name, that said Edward Bell Jr.
And that was filed in June of 2023, correct?
That was October 2022.
Okay, October 2022, and you've been having these repair issues, correct?
Yes, that was his first filing, and that was the first time we had contact where he came with code enforcement, the ordeal that he was talking about. And he immediately filed eviction. We again didn't have a way to pay him, where to pay him at, or proof that he was who he was.
So once he filed the eviction, his address is listed on that eviction, that dispossessor, correct?
One of them is, I believe, from Covington, Georgia.
And a phone number is also listed, correct?
On the one from June, but not the one from October.
But as of June of 2023, you had an address and a phone number for Mr. Bell, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And at no time did you send him any notices about repairs, correct?
No, we didn't have repairs. We had those past repairs. We didn't have anything that came up after that.
But you never sent him about the repairs that you alleged took place in September of October 2021.
We didn't send paperwork. He had a discussion with my husband at the property on it.
Did you ever send the receipts to Mr. Bell for any work that someone may have done, any third-party vendor?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever send in receipts from anyone moving the tree off the property?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever send him a receipt itemizing your labor allegedly done on the property?
No, ma'am.
And then you brought this counterclaim for that amount, but did not attach any receipt showing your damages?
Not for, I don't know if he uploaded them, but no, ma'am, not in hand.
You didn't upload them, did you?
I did not know.
And how would I know you're telling the truth about the repairs since you didn't send notice?
I have one receipt here, but I don't have the other one with me.
What is that
They're
receipt?
digital.
What is that receipt?
This is for the part of the tree. This one actually says 42, but I don't think he paid that. He didn't pay the guy who helped him with the second part. He didn't pay the 42. He only paid the 12.
He only paid $1,200. And who's that receipt from?
This was from my husband.
So your husband wrote that receipt.
To pay him, but he didn't end up paying him the full amount. That he gave us a lower price on the labor.
So the third party vendor did not write the receipt.
The
Your
man who
husband
helped
did.
him.
Okay. So your
From the
third
chainsaw
party
one,
vendor,
yeah, not from the first house.
your third party vendor who allegedly did the work did not prepare the receipt, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Your husband prepared that receipt, correct?
Yes, after he gave him the payment.
And you didn't even pay him the amount that the receipt states, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and I have nothing further. I would be objecting to any amount on her counterclaim since she did not give us notice, Judge, and she didn't prepare the receipts to give my client either in person or prepare him for this trial. She didn't upload them in e-file, so we don't have any knowledge of what receipts was done. We don't have any real knowledge of the repairs on the property because had she let us know she had vacated, we could have inspected the property to see what was going on in that property, but we have not had an opportunity to even go inside that property since the father passed in May of 2021.
All right.
That's not true.
Miss Grant,
Edward
did you give them
a walkthrough with the police?
Okay, that was
a full
back.
walkthrough.
That was back when you all still occupied the property. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so he's not seen it since you all left the property.
No, ma'am.
And when he did the full walkthrough with the police, he was only able to like just walk through the rooms. He wasn't able to look past anything, look in any cabinets or doors or places where the HVAC or the water heater would have been.
I'm not sure. I wasn't there.
Okay. All right. So at this time, ma'am, I'm going to deny the counterclaim because you didn't give them notice of the amounts. B, you haven't provided evidence of the actual amounts paid. And even the testimony given, the court is not able to rationalize what you say happened versus the amounts that you are claiming. And the vast majority of the amounts you claimed were for emotional damage, which the court does not grant in a dispossessory. Therefore, the judgment in the amount of $24,500 in favor of the plaintiff will stand. The writ of possession is instanter, so the parties are able to go back into the property at this time because you have left the property and you no longer have an interest in the property. All right, we'll give you a copy of the order.
Thank you, Judge. I'll submit the order today.
All right, and I'll sign that.
Thank you,
All
Judge.
right, you may be excused at this time.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, thank you.
That woman made absolutely no sense most of the time. And who in their right mind would pay $5,000 to have a tree, part of a tree, removed? We had a tree that was at least 150 feet tall. We had the entire thing removed in California, where prices are buku expensive, for $1,000. So that $5,000 was bull. That's not true. That's why she didn't have a receipt, because it's not true. And when the power company or the gas companies do not come out and inspect inside your home unless you have a gas leak, and then you call them to see if they can find the leak. Now, they may have had a gas leak, and so they shut off the gas to that hot water heater because that was where the gas was coming from. They didn't shut off the gas to the rest of the house, unless they shut off gas to the entire house, which might be. But then all you have to do is call them back, and when you get the thing fixed, and they come out and turn it all back on. That happened to us also. So it was on the outside of the house, but still, it wasn't on the inside. So that she just made no sense. They literally became squatters and would not leave. I mean, when they have tried to evict you once, why didn't you leave? Why didn't you just go? I just don't understand that. You've got like a big chunk of money sitting there because you haven't paid rent in months and months and months and months. You should be able to have first, last, and a security deposit if you're putting that money aside like you're supposed to be, like she said she was. So she was just full of it. The whole thing, she was full of it. That's my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.